بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Perspectives. I'm Faisal Qureshi.
And I'm Ayesha Tajwar.
And what are we talking about today, Ayesha?
You know, Faisal, every time we have a talk about a new project or an idea, you keep saying one line in every discussion, which is, don't agree because I am saying it. Agree because you want to agree with it. What does that really mean? It's very confusing for me.
Okay, the latter part is not correct. I don't want you to agree because you want to agree or believe. I would like you to understand what I'm saying. When we agree to something which we don't want to do really, see, your mind is a phenomenal power. It's a smart machine.
Right.
And if I tell you that, Ayesha, you tell me that, Faisal, I need to lose weight. Now, so you know what? I really agree with you, but I don't do anything about it. Because the reason I agree with you is because I just want to, I want you to stop nagging me.
And you want to give me that comfort. That, okay, fine, yeah,
I don't even care about your comfort.
Okay.
I just don't want to have to believe or understand it or do something about it. So if you tell me, Faisal, you know, you're gaining weight, it's unhealthy for you, you got to lose. And I was, you know what, Ayesha, I agree with you completely. And that's the end of conversation. And you will say, so when are you going to start? And I will say, oh, soon.
So that's basically shutting you out.
My mind is saying,
I don't want
get
to
her out of the system. Get her out of his space right now. And the same with disagreement. If you give me an idea, if you say that, you know, life is not so bad, and I would say, oh, you know, I don't agree with you, or I would put some confrontation. But if I really listened to you quietly in silence, and if it made sense to me, and if I believed what you were saying, if I understood what you were saying, then I would take effect.
And then you will further comment about it, and then there will be a discussion.
Or there will be change. Actual change will happen. The real problem is we as human beings don't like change. We don't want to change. And as a result, we watch news every day. We read news. In 2012, the whole world has become a news consumer.
Right.
And the reason for that is when I read the news, oh, there's this child molester and a serial killer, and this guy ran off with whatever, and he robbed a bank. And I'm saying, look at all these bad people. I'm not so bad, so I'm okay. And whenever you have an argument with a lot of people and say, well, you're doing this wrong, the first thing they say is, I'm not so bad. Have you seen other people?
Yeah, the comparison with others. And just because someone else is doing wrong, and if I do the same, then that doesn't make me bad, because everyone else is doing it.
And that basically takes care of me having to change. But you talk to a politician and say, hey, you've done this wrong. Say, but have you seen this other politician?
They start
that's
blaming
not
others.
Exactly. But that's the defense system. And my brain is so smart.
That's diverting attention from yourself to others who are doing the same.
And in my mind, I've justified it. When we read the news, when we talk about people, when we sit in gatherings, we talk about completely frivolous things. Oh, I went to, you know, I took a trip to Venice, and you would say, oh yeah, I went to Paris, and we've all talked about it 100 times. We're telling old stories. And in those stories, if there is a message somewhere, I would completely agree or disagree and have an argument for a little while and that's it. No one is listening.
And also, Faisal, a lot of people tend to agree because they don't want to be the odd one out.
That's another one, yes.
They don't want to be the odd one out.
True.
So whatever you say, I'll just agree. Or maybe if you're in power, and if I do not agree with you, then, you know, maybe I will be part of the minority. I will be treated in a certain manner.
Yeah.
And just to avoid that, I would just agree with everything and anything that you say.
I agree 100%. But the fundamental, again, I completely agree with
right.
But the fundamental need of all human beings today is not to change. Global warming. Everyone knows there's a problem. Everyone agrees, but no one understands.
Right.
No one actually cares. No one actually believes it.
So are you saying that we're not making enough effort?
Because we don't believe it. and we don't understand it. We don't understand the problem. If you understood the problem, I want to cut your hand off.
Why? Don't.
You will not agree. You will not disagree.
Right.
You'd want to understand it.
Why would you want to do it?
Yeah, and because then I would have to give you some serious justification, and then there's a medical reason, and eventually you would cut it off because you would have understood it. We need to reduce carbon emissions. Yeah, but look at what America is doing. They're the biggest monsters. Look at what France is doing. Look at what... It's their problem. You need to cut down carbon emissions or whatever else you want to, the CF6s. But look at India. Why do I have to do it? What difference will me doing it make?
Okay, so
I would
what we
agree
should-
or disagree, but I will not understand the problem.
Yeah, so we're not really understanding that how am I contributing to that problem.
Because the
If
moment
that
you
exists.
understand that, the onus will be on you to do something. And you don't want to understand it. Your brain is saying, shutting it down.
I will keep going in that same direction. I don't care what you're saying.
Your mind is just going to shut all discussion down. And that's the reason when you tell someone something good, they will not listen to you. Either they will say, oh, you jerk, who are you to tell me? Or I completely disagree with you. Or I agree with you. Either way, end this bloody conversation.
Right.
I don't want to hear
I
more of it.
completely agree with it because a lot of conversations are brought to an end because they don't want to discuss it further.
You just did it. You just completely... Just kidding.
I don't do anything, okay?
But we, as
I agree to a certain extent, yes, because even there was a point when I used to just agree with everything just to end that thing and
Yeah.
not be part of it or further get into it. And I'll be like, just wrap it up and move it on.
Yeah, we would not actually
Yeah.
reason with it in our
Yeah.
minds. Our parents tell us things, and we are whatever, or okay, fine, I'll do
Yeah,
it.
we got it.
But we don't actually say, hang on, is that good for me in this, and try to understand it and believe it. And if you actually took that moment to understand something, you would take action. It's that simple. You would change. You will actually make. If my shirt's dirty, I will change because I understand it. There are a lot of people who won't. Even though you can say your shirt's dirty, I agree it's dirty.
And the point is,
Why aren't you changing it?
Right.
You go to Mexico. You go to a lot of other countries. You go to cities which are very dirty cities. And you tell them, listen, you need to stop creating so much garbage. You need to stop throwing things in the streets. And they would say, oh, it's the government's responsibility.
not all.
Yeah, but I agree that we have to stop doing it, or I disagree that the people are responsible. But no one would say, hang on, let me just sit and listen. Okay, I understand it.
Because
and once you've understood
let's see where I'm going wrong.
and understand the
Yeah.
problem, once you've understood it, you would bring change. You would change yourself immediately. I've understood it. So we don't, and the mind says, do not try to understand. Somehow end this conversation right now.
If it's not of your interest.
If it
Or
needs
if you don't want to
change,
engage in it or be part of it, or even if it requires some amount of effort.
if it's change,
Yeah.
we do not want to change. Change is the biggest problem.
No, that's why, because we think we're perfect. Whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm doing, the way I'm dressed up.
Not just perfection,
I think
Ayesha.
I
There's a
just
fear
think
of
I'm
change.
fine.
There's a fear of change. If you're miserable, you're sulking, you're feeling harm, I say, Ayesha, hang on. It's not so bad. Oh, what do you know?
You wouldn't know what it feels like to be in my place.
Exactly.
That's the
Or if I
line.
would say, Ayesha, it's not so bad, you say, yeah, I know, I agree, I understand. But you wouldn't actually sit and say,
Oh, hold
hang
on.
on.
a minute. Let's see.
Maybe it
How
isn't
is it
so-
not so bad?
how is it not so bad?
Yeah.
And if you understood, hang on, it is not bad. And then there's no reason to feel bad
Right.
anymore. There's no reason for you to sulk anymore. But we will make sure that we do not understand that it is not so bad. I would give you phenomenal examples. I would say, hey, this guy who's paralyzed, and this girl who doesn't have an arm, and look at what they're doing. And say, yeah, good. It doesn't apply to me.
Because we want to be in that particular state.
We read these endless books about motivation, about people who've beaten the odds, people who have achieved great things in spite they didn't have the opportunity, and we read this book after book, all these self-help books.
But that cannot be of any help.
And we agree with what's written in them.
But we will not apply.
We even do those little exercises that come in the book.
We don't apply in
We
real
don't apply
life.
because we don't understand.
And we don't have the willingness.
Because if you understood, tell me what new are these books saying? It's the same thing over and over again.
Right.
said in different words, and we just agree. And an agreement really is a reinforcement of what we want to believe or agree with.
Agreed.
You know that you have to wear clean clothes. You already know that. Ayesha, Faisal, you should lose weight. And deep down, I'm like, yeah, I know that.
But I wouldn't agree with you.
Well, because you don't want to. But we would come. The mind is basically protecting itself, and that's it. And people need to understand that, and you need to. We
need to get out of our comfort zone, if I may say.
And try to understand things. Try to believe in them, and try to listen. We don't listen much, and and also
we don't listen much because we think we know everything.
Yeah.
And like I know more than you do, so you don't have to tell me anything.
And in some cultures, people know that they don't know, and they are sitting and attending these courses and attending these lectures, or your boss is telling you to do something, and you're like, yeah, I agree, but you don't do it the next time. Why?
I know that was on me.
That wasn't, but you
that was on me.
But if you really understood the problem, and if you agreed, not just agreed, if you believed it, you would do something about it. You would use tools to change.
I am.
You would never repeat the same thing.
Not thankful enough for you.
What about that? Come on. Why are you laughing?
Fine.
Okay, so there is a fact. Because the moment I said you understood.
Been there, done that.
The moment I said you understood, which means there is a fact behind it. Why, Ayesha? Why? Why don't
we
you
should
bring
have
that?
this conversation later. Let's not go there.
Not
right
online?
now. No.
Is that a threat?
No.
Or you're agreeing with it?
Yeah. Well, maybe you should debate about it later.
I agree. It's okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Till next time. Bye-bye.